on the road to recovery, Castle Rock, Colorado. Live from Millville, New Jersey, I'm on the road to recovery. We're on the road to recovery in Morgantown, West Virginia at Mountaineer Field. And live in Scranton, Pennsylvania, I'm on the road to recovery. Here I am on the road to recovery from Berlin, Maryland. Hey, from Caseville, Michigan, I'm on the road to recovery. I'm on the road to recovery at Ann Arbor, University of Michigan. I'm on the road to recovery in Western Pennsylvania with Nick McCue. I met this kid at an event, and he really impacted me. He inspired me. I couldn't believe his story. And you know, everybody's story is not the same. There's so many different variations, if you will, of how addiction affects our lives and how recovery unfolds and manifests itself. And I'm grateful to spend time with him, be able to sit with him for a little bit and share his story with you. This is the story of Nick McCue.
It all began around age 11 or 12. You know, my father, he really wasn't too much involved in my life, and you know, I always looked for that outside, you know, attention. Basically, like I was telling you yesterday. You know, I always wanted. I didn't care if it was negative or positive attention. I just wanted that feeling of like somebody's watching. You know, my mom was a single mother. She worked hard, man, to support me and my little brother, and you know, she ended up getting fired from her job. So like, you know, she was there for 12 years at UPS, and like she started to see that like, you know, everything drained, everything she worked for her whole life, like just started failing, and like she got into addiction, you know, and drugs real bad, and like next thing you knew, she was selling drugs, and like I've always my whole life like I looked at it as like, you know, she was being like a bad person, but like today, like I could realize she was doing the only thing she knew how to do. You know what I mean? After losing everything that she built so much. And you know, I glorified that lifestyle. You know, that fast money, that fast pace, that respect, that attention. You know, and I felt like that's the only way that I could receive the same thing in return. And my whole life, man, I tried to fit in with the jocks. I tried to fit in with the people that are like, you know, the good honorable students, and I tried to fit in all them areas, but also while I was trying to fit in, I was lying, trying to maintain an image that wasn't me. And like I always got caught up in them lies, and I could never keep them similar until like I found like I got so broken that I like turned to the streets, and like I realized other people were broken, you know, and like I just molded myself to like them other people. You know, whether it was to rob somebody, whether it was to steal, whether it was to carry guns and sell drugs, and I found that attention from them, from that finding acceptance, you know, and like I ran with that. And like next thing I know, you know, it just all went downhill, and everything that I glorified, you know, the rap, the hip hop, the people selling drugs, having the nice cars and all the women and everything, you know, you see that, but you never see the consequences. My mom was real strict, you know, she was straight by the book. Come home when the street lights are on, and you know, everybody that I was running with, they didn't have that. They didn't have a strong mother, you know, telling them what to do, and like have anybody who cares. I always looked for outside help. So 12, 13, you know, it just started with running away, not coming home, you know, being verbally abusive to my mother. You know, any authority that has been in my life, like I've been the opposite of what they asked for me. And you know, from like 12 to 13, I was locked up. I became institutionalized at a young age, you know. It got to the point where I would come home for maybe a week or two, and I would start to miss that structured environment. You know, because like I said, I turned away from like the real love that was like right in front of me, and I always grasped for more. I always wanted more, you know. That's might be my addict mentality, but I've always wanted more my whole life. Nothing was good enough. You know, so like I sprung from running away to simple car thefts to petty break-ins, to like rob my family, to selling drugs, to carrying weapons, to armed robberies, to eventually attempt a homicide when I was 19 years old. I was the last person to see I was self-destructing when I thought that all that attention and love that I was getting from the streets, I thought it was real love and attention, and I didn't realize till it was too late and it was all gone, and I was sitting in a jail cell by myself. And when I done broken all the ties with my family wanted nothing else to do with me. 12 to 18, I was in numerous juvenile placement facilities, and then when I was 18, I was released. I went to jail for 11.5 to 23 months for breaking into my grandmother's house and stealing a whole bunch of firearms. It's 2011 when I caught that case, and then in 2012 I came home, and you know, it was the first time that I had a long period, and it was like that time when you come home and you realize you lost everybody. Dad didn't want nothing to do with me. Mom started becoming in recovery. The trust was gone. Within 2 months of being out, I was on the run for probation. Stopped checking into probation. Within 3 months, I had got shot 5 times walking outside of Crestview, and within 5 months, I was on the run for attempted homicide and an armed robbery and a possession of a firearm with tampering with evidence. January 22nd, 2013, I turned myself in to Newcastle detectives, and you know, that was like my starting the change process. They started off with a 3.5 to 7-year plea, and I told them I'm not taking it. Went past the prelim and went from a 7.5 to 15 years. And of course, still, I'm like, man, that ain't really nothing to me. And then it went from in the mail with my discovery packet, a 15 to 30-year plea at age 20. You know, I got a 15 to 30-year plea, and like I realized how fast life is taken. Like I always blamed others for losing what I've gained, right? But like I've never looked in the mirror. When I look in the mirror, it hurts because like I understand that like I'm to blame because I put all the actions in that caused all these consequences. You know, by the grace of God, man, I came home 15 and a half, I got 15 to 30 months to remain witness recanted or statement, and like I got a blessing. You know, I got to come home. And they ran everything concurrent, and I still was selling drugs and stuff, you know. And on my 21st birthday, I got super drunk, you know, and I got life flighted. I got jumped, pistol whipped. Like that was the starting point of realizing that like this ain't a game, you know, this is my life and I'm in control. You know, it's been a long process because like my whole life, like I've looked at my drinking, you know, the codeine, the pills and everything that I've been doing. I've looked at like I'm trying to catch up on the life that I've deprived myself, and I'm just being a 23-year-old. But what I'm not realizing is that like when I put a mood altering substance in my body, I'm no longer Nick. I was introduced to NA about a year ago. My mother, like I said, she's in active recovery. And, you know, I watched TV my whole life and I seen them NA programs and I'm like, it's a joke. You know what I mean? I'm from the streets, I sell drugs. Like, it was just a joke, but like I didn't realize that image would fade when I started working on myself. So I like went and, you know, they say that a good recovery will fuck up any high that you ever had, you know what I mean? And like, you see things from like a different perspective. So like I just kept coming. They told me keep coming back. You know, it was relapse after relapse. It was heartache after heartache. You know, it was losing, cutting off people, cutting off ties, and I never realized I had to change the people, places, and things before I could change myself. You know, so like it started off with like cutting off all them people that have ties in the streets. It started off with cutting off all them people that like when you go around them, you get that gut-wrenching feeling. You know, and like I'm starting to cutting off all the people that like I cut off my family for. And like I started building a relationship with my family. You know, I started loving myself so I'm able to love others. I started realizing that like my life is a perspective of like what I put out. You know, and I started just like building, and like I started building this relationship with God. You know, because like I'm starting to realize like God doesn't just bless a mess. You know what I mean? He doesn't just bless a mess. Everything that's worth having is worked for. Everything that I've ever wanted, you know, I wanted it to come right now. I've loved the right nows. You know, I never want to put the work in. So like for once in my life, like I surrendered. I put the work in. You know, I let go of the past. I let go of them people, and like I did something different. You know, I changed the people around me. I got around people that go to church. I got around people that have families. I go around people that are loyal to their wives. You know, I get around people that have something that I want so I can learn to be that person that I want to be. You know, like today, like I have things that are like instilled in me and things that I can keep. You know, I have people that believe in me. I have them old family, them ties that I've broken off. Like I'm able like to say that like I have them back. You know, I'm able to say that like my grandmother gives me a key to her house today. You know, people trust me. People love me for who I am and not what I have. I think about like when I was that lost little boy. You know, that lost little boy that's looking for something that there wasn't an answer to have from the places I was looking. You know, I was looking in a dark tunnel, just searching around, and there was nothing there. It was an empty tunnel. But I didn't know that because my eyes were closed the whole time. I remember them counselors that like told me, you know what I mean? it wasn't like they told me exactly what I needed to hear, but like I remember knowing like why my ears were not open, you know. And like my purpose today, man, is I just want to help anybody. Like I got real bad, I got a lot of felonies, you know, but like I want to help one of them kids, you know. I want to tell them that like they're not alone, it's not lost, and like it's not a life, the life that they're chasing is not a life worth chasing anymore, you know. And I want to tell them that they don't have to do that, you know what I mean. And it don't matter what your situation is and what your circumstances are. Like, you don't have to be a product in your environment, you know what I mean. You don't have to be a drug addict, you don't have to be a failure, you know what I mean. You don't have to steal, you don't have to sell drugs. Like, it all starts with a choice, you know. And like I'm starting to realize that like when you're doing the right thing, you no longer have an excuse to say why you didn't do and why you didn't take the chance of doing something better. There's a better way. You just got to be able to seek that and want that for yourself before anybody else can help you. If you ain't willing to be helped, nobody can help you.
Hey Nick, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I appreciate it, and I hope you appreciate these amazing stories and inspirational tales of finding recovery. There's different paths, and many people travel different paths to find that new life, that life beyond your wildest dreams, because that's what recovery is. It's a journey, not a destination, and as the journey unfolds, everyone benefits. There's like a ripple effect of recovery, just like there was in addiction, but the ripples are positive. I appreciate these opportunities. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Michael DeLeon, and from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, I'll see you on the next episode of On the Road to Recovery.